Palomino.
All right, and
That look like a howl or a kiss.
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast them all over two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another wild turkey-fueled episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 468, recorded on Sunday, March 31st, 2024. Tonight, we're talking about another Patreon pick. This was chosen by your boy Kennethus Prime. The movie is Silver Bullet from 1985. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Randees. What's up?
He always calls
what's
me
going on, buddy? It's good to hear from you. Good to talk to you.
Everybody's favorite jackass, Randees. Welcome to the
right.
party.
You know,
Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy, Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy, holy jumped up, ball-headed Jesus Palomino Stains.
Holy jumped up ball-headed Jesus Palomino.
Stains.
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 You cut the bum off too soon early. He definitely said Stains.
He definitely said Stains for sure.
Famously says it.
Gary
I'll go.
Busey.
I'll go back.
That man is chugging wild turkey while playing cards with his nephew.
That is one of. I
Yes.
think that is one of the most intense men that exist in
I
humanity.
agree.
Yeah. Yes. We gotta
You
get it.
can't
We gotta
turn your
wait on
back
that.
on
There's
him.
gonna
You
be
can't
plenty
turn
of
your
time.
back.
Yeah,
you're
half
right,
my
yeah.
discussion is pretty much going to be about Gary
Just
Busey, the
about
human
you.
being.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
anomaly that is Gary Busey.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
Well, before we get to that, let's tackle a little bit of housekeeping real quick here. At the time of us recording this, there's only like 5 hours left to vote in the April poll. By the time you were listening to
shit.
this, the poll is closed. So it looks like option 2 is still pretty solidly ahead with like 50% of the vote. So should we just call it and say what option 2 is?
I mean, we
Oh,
can
yeah.
if it changes.
Call
There's,
it.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we're gonna honor it if it changes, but might as well
No,
for the show.
we're
No.
We might as
dishonorable.
well
We're
call
not.
it.
So option 2
Like a
that
binding
was
contract.
chosen-
announcing it on this
chosen by the AI overlords. Option number 2 is Maximum Overdrive.
Is
That's what
I couldn't
it is.
remember. I don't remember what we picked.
Oh wow! I didn't know that was. I thought that was a bit, but no.
Oh no, I just had to really think hard for a second. I was like, "Fuck, what are they?" I haven't said them in
Maximum Overdrive.
Whoa.
What? Who could have
Whoa.
ever? What is the who?
so long. Yeah. Ow,
Man.
who, what?
Well, what are the other ones, Bob? Let's see if this bit works out.
I do.
Oh
recall
yeah,
those
let's
options.
disappoint everyone else who didn't
Right?
realize what these
This is our
films were.
cool one.
You
Yeah,
could have
yeah.
had this.
I believe somebody guessed the first 2 correctly. So option 1 was the Terminator, the OG.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody did guess Maximum Overdrive. I think Heidelberg called that one option 2. And option 3, nobody guessed this one,
No.
and nobody, I don't
Understandably.
think ever would have. But it was
Yeah.
kind of a swerve. The Cable Guy.
Cable
The
guy, you
cable
guys missed your
guy.
shot.
Oh my God!
You
AI, you
missed
trickster!
your
You
shot.
trickster,
You
son of a
missed it.
gun!
It's gone forever now. We'll never consider covering it again.
No, it's dead to us.
That's how
Sorry,
polls work for
losers.
us.
Yeah,
Right?
obviously,
yeah,
because Spring will never get it.
Yeah.
So
we never double or triple or quadruple down a pick ever.
Never.
Nope.
This
Never
definitely
happened.
isn't the second time that the Terminator has been on a poll, like in the past
But
6 months.
that's the new Spring. It's got the curse on it. It's never.
It's
Never
It'll
gonna-
He's got a
never.
curse on him.
He's got the pole cursed.
Well, let me flip the script here. So that means we got a brand new poll currently posted on our Patreon website. It is our May poll. And
Oh.
Juice, this is your takeover month. What three
Is
movies did you pick? What's your theme? What's going on?
Let's see if I can remember. So my takeover month, I believe, is Korean creature comfort. So we have our.
Wrong.
Ooh, really
No,
stepping out of
oh.
your lane.
No,
I
I'm just
know.
kidding. Do you?
So I do the spin-off show Creature Comforts where we cover horror adjacent films. And so I wanted to pick some Korean films that fit that category that we probably would never really cover on the show unless I could take over a month and force us to watch them. So let's see. The three movies that I chose were Burning from 2018,
Mhm.
Memories of Murder, which is from 2003, I want to say, and The Handmaiden, which I can't remember what year that's from. But yeah, so all three from really big, popular Korean directors. Bong Joon-ho, Park Chan-wook, and Lee Chang-dong directed those. And so yeah, I wanted to kind of tackle some of their films through a horror lens, if you will. So yeah, that's what you have to choose between through April.
Nice.
Nice. April's
Proud
going to
of
be a
you.
Korean month for us because between that and a couple of festival screeners we've got,
Whoa.
we're going to be drowning in Korean stuff.
Drowning in it.
Drowning.
Dang.
Oh
Yes.
my God. Yeah, get your votes in before the end of April, and we'll see what we're talking about this May.
You
Uh,
know,
Minicast. We're dropping minicast every other Friday. Per usual. Last Friday we just dropped one talking about True Detective Night Country. That was your boy Randeezy and Soju. And it wasn't much of a minicast. It's like a full hour conversation, really.
Yeah.
So it's
Like nothing I'd ever smelled before in my life.
We get those sometimes.
pretty much a full review, really. So you can get that right now over on Patreon, as well as 125 other mini casts we have sitting there for you, ready to roll. You can listen to those on your favorite podcatcher as well. You don't have to just listen to them on Patreon. Next up, we're going to be dropping a mini cast on Friday, April 12th. Randeezy, I believe this is yours. You're talking about Lisa Frankenstein.
oh man, it's been long enough that I forgot I did that. So
I remember when
Yeah, wow.
it's been long enough that I watched Lisa Frankenstein, thought there was a mini cast out about it, and then was anticipating the cast and forgot that it hadn't come out.
all
yet.
right, man,
What year
really left a
is
mark
it?
on us. Yeah, like you enter your mid-30s and time and space just stop functioning the way
You're
you expect them
fucked.
to. Yeah,
3 years and
This
2
week
months
went-
are pretty much the same thing.
yeah. That's
It's like
very
when you're
true.
really high and the time that has passed has been 3 hours or 5 minutes and you're not sure which.
Yeah.
Same
All
thing.
right.
That's exactly
Uh,
right.
Yeah, Lisa Frankenstein, dropping April 12th. Check it out. That's all we got going on with Patreon currently. Do you boys have anything you need to plug?
Just my beehole. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think so.
God
And that's
damn.
always plugged.
Nah, you wish.
I do.
Everybody's got to take a
case.
day.
Just in case. You know, can't be too careful. Stuff just starts leaking everywhere. Otherwise,
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
that's what a boy likes.
Mhm.
last thing I'll mention real quick here is Randeezy and myself will be in the lovely city of New Orleans for the Overlook Film Festival yet again this week.
Yes.
April 4th through 8th, I believe, are the dates we're going to be there. So if you're in attendance and you see us, yell obscenities at us. We encourage that,
Yeah.
please.
We
Yeah,
highly
make a
encourage
scene,
that.
please.
Yeah, just really make sure the cops have to come. That's what we
Yeah,
want.
that-
No, but yeah, say hey, say what's up, grab some ass, no big deal. I'll probably bring some stickers actually. So you want some stickers?
No
Hit
big
us up.
deal. Sexual assault, but fine.
Just
Yeah, man, we are just
Slap-
freewheeling this week.
slapping asses. That's what we do.
God
So yeah,
damn.
I think our house is clean.
Yeah, I think so too.
His house is clean.
All right, let's get into the main event. We're talking Silver Bullet, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I was howling at the moon, but I believe, did you have 2 of these boxes? Is that where you throwing up 2s?
Yeah, I got 2 of these, both from Scream Factory. They put out a Blu-ray a couple years ago, and very recently they put it out from 4K.
Oh,
There
so
you go.
from the same company and the same film.
Yes, that would be correct.
All right.
A correct
When's
statement.
that Steel coming out though?
I know.
That's my question.
That's
Oh
right.
God, I gotta get that
6
too.
months. You know, they have to stagger these releases so that Bob can buy them all.
I gotta buy them all. So we're talking Silver Bullet from 1985, rated R with a runtime of 1 hour and 35 minutes. This was directed by Daniel Attias. The screenplay was written by Stephen King. This is also based on a novelette that he wrote called Cycle of the Werewolf. And this stars Gary Busey, Everett McGill, Corey Haim, some other lovely folks. Plot synopsis brought to you by the back of the box is as follows. In this thrilling adaptation of Stephen King's novelette, Cycle of the Werewolf, a peaceful town is suddenly terrorized by a maniacal killer. The townsfolk think a madman is on the loose, but a wheelchair-bound 13-year-old, Corey Haim from The Lost Boys, knows the truth. A werewolf is on the hunt. With the help of his Uncle Red, Gary Busey from Lethal Weapon, young Marty Coslaw, I want to say Coslaw every time. I'm sure that's not it.
Oh yeah, coleslaw.
Sets out to stop the half-man, half-beast before he sinks his teeth into another innocent victim. Now, time is ticking and the full moon is about to rise.
I will eat your ass.
God
That's right.
damn. Gentlemen, have we seen this movie before, and would we recommend folks check it out? Randeezy, kick us off.
I had not seen this movie. In fact, this is a pretty blind spot for me. I had no idea there was a werewolf movie starring Gary Busey. I feel like I should have known that. Because like I don't know, having looked into it since, it seems like it's got its cult following and all that stuff. It just never crossed my purview, I guess. Whether I'd recommend it, I think I'd recommend this to parents of kids getting into horror. I think that's where I would draw the line of my my recommendation. I think that like if you're just into werewolf films, sure. If you think like whatever, if this speaks to your interest, if you want to see Gary Busey, like only semi-addled, this might be a one for you. But other than that, like yeah, I think that the best use case for this movie is getting kids into horror. Giving them a shot. And we have quite a few movies that kind of fit that bill. I think this one fits that bill.
Randy, why don't you just skip the middleman and full on recommend it to all of the children that are undoubtedly listening to our show week in and week out?
Hello, children.
Uncle Randu here says, check it out. Juice.
Meddling little shit.
Juice, what about you?
Yeah, I'd never seen this before. I had heard of it because there's not that many like high quality or like there's not a lot of werewolf films that just are just out there, But so I had heard of it and I had been meaning actually to watch it for a while. But this was the first time watch for me, and I would recommend people check this out. This movie was highly entertaining. I laughed quite a bit actually at this film, and yeah, I do think it would be a charming one for kids to watch. But also there's nothing spooky about this one, but just kind of watching it, and maybe it's just because it's like a classic kind of monster. It definitely had that feel of like heading to maybe like a late July heading into spooky season, boys, what we're talking about here.
Oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't realize we were on the calendar segment already.
That's
our
newest, for April 13th every year.
I gotta tell people when to watch this film. All right,
the perfect date to watch this. It's you're like a sommelier of fucking
I gotta swirl it around first.
Yeah, the nose on this is just very elongated.
But no, I would recommend people check this out. I think it's wacky. I think it's really goofy. I think it fits perfectly as an 80s kind of campy, fun type of horror. So yeah, I would recommend people check this out. Bob, how about you? Had you seen this before? You have 2 copies. I hope to God you've seen it before.
I've still never seen it. I'd seen it once before when I got the Blu-ray, and then I watched it again this week when I got the 4K.
Nice.
And yeah, I would recommend checking this one out. I really like werewolf movies, and it's extremely hard to pull a werewolf movie off. I think this is not necessarily a top tier werewolf movie, but I'd say like just beneath that. It's better than a lot of them. So yeah, I think it's totally worth your time. And also, we were talking the past couple weeks about horror movies that you would want to watch during the springtime because there's obviously stuff for the fall and the winter and whatnot. And this movie opens up. It says spring 1976. So like, bam, spring right in your face. And it
Stronger
does
case than the
that,
Christmas
yeah.
tree in that Alien movie. So
right, Prometheus with a Christmas tree for half a second. So it does take place from springtime and it ends on Halloween. So like you could watch it whenever the fuck you want to, really. But it starts off in the spring, so I thought that was kind of perfect timing there. And yeah, solid werewolf movie. I think if you're into that sort of thing, definitely check it out. It gave me Fright Night vibes too. So if you want something maybe kind of in that realm, check it out. So yeah, it sounds like a pretty solid recommendation from the crew, I think. So we are going to spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
All right, Bob, you got that plot synopsis?
You know I do, and it's for you. It's all for you.
Thank you. It's always for me. Randy hates them.
yeah,
famously.
We're establishing lore. I see. Okay.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Siblings Jane and her younger brother, who is also a paraplegic by the name of Marty, live in Tarker's Mills, Maine, with their parents. A series of brutal murders happens over the course of several months. Beginning in the spring of 1976, a drunk railroad worker by the name of Arnie is decapitated by an unseen assailant. A pregnant, suicidal woman, Stella, is also killed in her bedroom. Abusive father Milt Sternfuller is killed in his greenhouse. And finally, Marty's friend Brady is found dead in a park. A group of locals complain to the sheriff, saying he's not protecting the town, and they decide to serve up a little bit of private justice themselves. While in the woods searching for the killer, 3 men are brutally murdered. The 4th of July parade ends up being canceled due to all the bloodshed, so the Coleslaws have a backyard barbecue and invite Marty's Uncle Red over. Uncle Red is good with a wrench, and turns out he built Marty a super badass new motorized wheelchair that is extremely fast, and he calls it the Silver Bullet. He also gives him a shitload of fireworks, including a rocket that he says he should save for the last. That night, Marty rides out into the woods all alone to light his fireworks off, and a werewolf attacks him. He launches the rocket into his eye and escapes. The next day, Jane helps Marty search for the werewolf by going around town collecting cans to recycle. She eventually goes to the church and drops off the cans, and she sees the Reverend is wearing a brand new eye patch. Marty sends several anonymous letters to the Reverend telling him to commit suicide so he can stop all the murders. The Reverend tries to run Marty off the road and chases him into an abandoned covered bridge. A passerby intervenes and the Reverend runs off. The kid convinces Uncle Red that the Reverend had tried to hurt him and also that he might be a werewolf. Uncle Red goes to the sheriff and he sees the dents all over the Silver Bullet. Sheriff goes to check out the Reverend's car and sees similar scratches and dents all over his car. The Reverend is able to transform into a werewolf and bash the sheriff's skull with a baseball bat before he can be arrested. Uncle Red then has an actual silver bullet fashioned, and on Halloween night, Jane, Marty, and Red all wait in their house for the werewolf to come. He does indeed come. He cuts the power off. Red and the werewolf brawl in the living room for a while. Marty manages to squeeze off a bullseye of a shot right into the werewolf's good eye with a silver bullet. He ends up killing him. The werewolf corpse turns back into the Reverend, and Jane and Marty hug each other and say they love each other and roll them credits. How wholesome. What a nice little ending there.
Oh, wholesome.
Very wholesome.
Mm,
Very
so
wholesome. You know, it's just so
Piss
wholesome.
on the Yankees, piss on the Indians, piss on the Phillies.
Dude.
Was that from this movie?
Yeah, it was when they're playing
Yes.
cards. It's when they're
God
playing
All my
damn.
books are from this movie.
Okay. All right.
Dude, Gary Busey, Jesus Christ. Just the way he even moves is like a fucking insane person.
Was he buying cocaine from Stephen King, or was it the other way around? Who's the
Oh,
supplier?
Lord. I feel like he's the supplier, but he's he's getting into his own stash.
You know what's nuts? Like Gary, like we're gonna talk more about Gary, and I don't want to like linger on it because there's a lot of plenty to talk about with the rest of this movie. But his he famously got into a very, very bad accident
Yeah,
that many
motorcycle
people
accident,
attribute
right?
his oddness to, and
Mhm.
it's all very sad and horrible for him. But that happened 3 years after this movie came out.
I kept
So
that in my mind too. I also, because I
yeah.
was like, oh no, he was just fucking insane beforehand,
Yeah.
and then he
That
Yeah.
got
just kind of had
brain
an
damage.
accelerator. Yeah. So he's an odd dude from birth to death, that's for damn sure. So he just kind of ramps it up as he goes. Yeah.
The
I don't
shit
know.
he says is out of control. It doesn't make a lick of sense any of the
It
time.
has to be ad-libbed, right? Like
But
two, I mean,
Yeah, I think
it
so
the
for sure.
Palomino line, maybe I could see like Stephen King having written that into the book once and then like latching
Really?
onto it. Yeah, because he does like his characters or whatever aren't always great, but they are pretty distinctive usually, I feel like. So I feel like having crazy drunk Uncle Red like have some like goofy thing that he says. I could see that written on the page. You know what I mean?
The I feel like a virgin on prom night, solid line.
Well, I was gonna say it's not. So Busey gives a lot of crazy, ridiculous lines, but actually, this movie's really funny. Anytime anybody was saying some shit, honestly, I was kind of laughing because one of the first things that happens, I mean, even just situational, this movie is so ridiculous. One of the first victims is a woman who has had an affair, maybe, and she's pregnant and she's committing
Mhm.
suicide before she gets attacked by the werewolf. And she's like talking to herself, like, oh, I know people who commit suicide go to hell, but I don't care.
I don't even
Just
care.
I don't even care. And there's when they go to the and also Marty, when he's like talking about his sister and he's like, she's out showing off her outfit, showing off her
What the
tits like
fuck?
nobody ever had tits before.
Nobody ever had to.
That line is
It's
concerning.
killing me.
Also, I don't think she ever wore anything in this movie that was like
No.
revealing in any
No.
ways. I don't
She's
know
like
what the fuck
12
he's
years
talking-
old.
She is. Like,
It's just like I don't know, man. That like some I can guess I see your point with some of those lines. Like they are kind of funny, but I don't know, man. I didn't get that same feeling from this movie. Most of the things
man.
that were said and like whatever, it's like just kind of wash over and kind of
Really?
zoom through.
Oh,
it
it was
didn't really leave a
cracking
big
me
impression.
up.
Busey was crazy, and I love Everett McGill. He didn't go as big as I like him to be in like a villain role, but he like his role, like his
I-
justifications and stuff, I thought were interesting. Go
I
ahead,
think a
Bob.
lot of the characters that ended up being off the red shirts, so to speak, had crazy ass lines. But the main cast outside of Gary Busey, I don't really think so. Because like the abusive father says something really fucked up, like we should just kill all the cripples and balance the goddamn
Oh,
budget
yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah,
And
he's
it's
like, we should
what
just
the
electrocute
fuck?
him and that'll balance
Yeah.
the budget. And I was like, what is what are people talking? They're
Why
also
is this guy?
I don't remember what he said, but I remember being like cracking up a lot when they go hunting for the werewolf, when the posse gets together and they're hunting and they go into this fog and there's this guy, I think he's got a red hat and he's like just bumbling about something and he gets taken from something, whatever he said cracked me the fuck up. And yeah, I forget that I remember when he was like, yeah, we should electrocute them all and balance it. But I was like, there's the wackiest lines. And then when the dad comes in after his son is killed, his reaction to his son being killed, though, was fucking hilarious. And then, but when he goes on his rant about private justice, I'll give you some. It was all so ridiculous and entertaining to me. I laughed a lot, actually.
I mean, some of that stuff, like taken out of the like I don't know, like thinking about it now, I guess I could see it. But when I was watching this thing, I was not like finding a lot of amusement there. Like there were definitely some lines that did. Like the tits thing just blew me away. I was like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
Corey, is this movie wholesome or not? What the fuck is happening?
Because
Like,
he hasn't said anything wild up until that point in the movie.
or
You're like, what
since.
the fuck? Yeah. It's
Yeah. Like
kinda
before that,
jarring.
he's like absolutely portrayed as like an innocent, like top to bottom. And that's not a totally uninnocent thing to say. That's like a young kid, like I guess transitioning and not really knowing where the boundaries are drawn and just sort of saying some shit. I'm sure I said some wild shit like that when I was a kid, but it just doesn't like. It's like the bodacious boobies sis scene. It's like, well, don't let's. You're not gonna like. Nobody's gonna say you're talking to. I know your uncle's drunk, but he could at least be like, "Hey, don't talk about your sister's tits, man. That's not cool."
Fucking weird. Yeah.
Well, that's dude. When he first shows up and he's just pounding wild turkey in front of his nephew, and the mom's right there watching. Everything he says, everything is 100% completely inappropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. No managers.
Yeah. He says, not in that scene, but later on, whenever the kids are trying to convince him that there's a werewolf going around, he says, "Sometimes I think your common sense got paralyzed along with your legs."
Yeah, what the fuck, man? This movie is like goes way out of its way. The lines in this movie go way out of their way to always be reminding us that this child cannot walk.
Even though
Don't
he moves
forget.
his legs a lot.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, it's not casted appropriately, I would say.
No.
Yeah, at the time it was pretty much acceptable for them. So
I thought, I don't know. I thought everybody was at least in the same movie. All the lines that were dropped were equally like ridiculous. When they're all fighting in the bar towards the beginning, and the guy pulls out his baseball bat, he says something like, "You better turn your thermostats down or I'll start swinging."
Yeah.
It just was, I don't
That
know,
got
man.
you?
The lines were on point. I really enjoyed just the banter between it. It really kept it entertaining for me.
I guess kudos to Stephen King, since he actually wrote the screenplay for this.
Yeah.
You know, like
Oh, did
some
he?
of that was on the page.
That
Yeah.
makes sense to me, actually, because a
Yeah.
lot of this stuff feels very Kingy and like not always in a terrible way or a good way, or like it comes with all the baggage that comes with that moniker. But like, yeah, I would say that if nothing else, even if I didn't get the same enjoyment out of some of those lines, I think maybe it's another movie that would benefit from group viewing. But
Yeah.
setting that aside, I didn't have that, and I was kind of like muddling through a little bit, but I could still feel the presence of like what felt like distinctive characterization, which is something that I attribute to Stephen King for sure. Like people's looks, people's behavior, the things they say, like for the most part, like they may be completely wackadoo and very like they feel natural because of how unnatural they are in some way. Does that make sense?
Well, that's
Yeah.
the thing. Yeah, that like I was
Yeah.
saying, they're all on the same page, and that's why I at
Yeah.
least appreciated. Gary Busey could have been the lone wild man, but having all these ridiculous characters at least made it entertaining for me. Because I will also agree. I'm saying I'm giving this movie praise, but at the same time, I wasn't glued to my screen. Those were the positive notes. In between those were definitely lulls, and like if things weren't so wackadoo, then it would be, pretty lower tier, like got to get through this movie kind of steps and beats
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So that's why I just kind of appreciated it even more. I was like, man, I'm glad everybody's kind of just giving these crazy lines and crazy performances, because it's at least, getting me through, entertaining me,
And beyond the individual characters, here is something else that's very like stereotypical of Stephen King, and like probably every movie of his that we've reviewed, is that he gives this like very solid sense of like the small town and the small town like characteristics and stuff, sort of like The Mist. Everybody in that movie has like a very specific vibe to them, and I think that comes through here, and I really dig that vibe and that feeling, and the fact that you spend 6-8 months, however long it is, in this like small town, and you kind of get to know these characters. Is like a really charming and I think stereotypical Stephen King kind of thing.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean he starts this movie by basically saying point blank, like this is a good, small, quaint community with no problems, very Christian. It's got the Christian family flag, which is like right next to the American. Like it's just very like it's built around Americana, but like there's stuff going on here that obviously is not cool, and that's very, very Stephen King. And I think honestly, that's not uncommon for other writers by any means, but he just does it in such a specific way from a specific feeling time. And having this narrated by what's her name, Jane? I always see her as Anne of Green Gables because she plays Anne of Green Gables in like all the movies that my mom watched ad nauseum growing up, or miniseries. But like, yeah, it's like her voiceover is just very sweet and very innocent, and then you'll jump from that to a bunch of assholes drinking in a bar or whatever, and like arguing about whether the law is like working, and then Terry O'Quinn will be like sulking somewhere. Like I don't know. It feels has a really good way of making it feel lived in, even as its exterior is very pristine. So
yeah, I agree with that. I also like really dug the guy at the very beginning. I guess worked for the railroad or whatever. He was like singing some sort of crazy song, and like that vibe when he was like walking down the railroad track or whatever in this really small town, this quaint little community, also gave me like My Bloody Valentine kind of vibes for a second. And he was like singing about a beer or something. I don't know. It's made me kind of think of that. I love the score. Did the score stand out for you guys at all in this?
It did, yeah. It definitely helped it. It put it in the time. It's definitely dated, but it helped hit the beats of, again, there are these elements that kind of elevate this film out of, make it better than what I think the core of it really is. And the score was one of those things where it kind of like tricked me into making me think it was a better movie, which is weird to say because everything's consistent throughout. This feels like a movie that should be this kind of staple 80s kid horror classic, and it's not. And I understand why it's not, but it also has the elements to be that, and I understand that that's there too. But it's weird because they're consistent throughout, so you would think, yeah, this should be this kind of like 80s classic.
I think it is for a lot of people.
Is it? Okay.
I think that's probably why it was chosen for us tonight, but it's not one that like we grew up watching. But I think certain folks definitely did.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying too, Justin, because it's like a lot. You think about other 80s horror classics or whatever, it's things like Lost Boys, things like Monster Squad, things that have a little like 80s edge to it, and this does not have that edge at all to me. Like it doesn't, like this is very much trying to live in a nostalgic past of adults of the time. So I don't know. It just kind of lacks that. So to me, it tries to appeal more to adults than kids. Like, or I don't know if it tries to, but like it just kind of successfully does a little bit more. Even though like to me it's like a pretty mostly basic werewolf story. Like this feels Campfire Tale. Like it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot going on underneath that, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing either. It is just kind of, it feels like a scary story to tell in the dark sort of thing, where it's just what it is. It's surface level. It's a little spooky. It's accessible to kids, but the aesthetic of it is more like nostalgia for the adults. So I don't know, like it strikes a whole different tone than the movies I think of as like kid horror from the 80s.
Well, also to kind of even touch, I kept while watching this, it's like somebody's taken the scale and like swinging it back and forth between something like a Monster Squad or a Lost Boys, and then there are moments where literally I was watching it and I was like, this has touches of Troll 2 in it. You know, just some of the lines, some of the performances, some of the ridiculousness that doesn't make a lick of sense or anything. And so it kind of, it's this pendulum that swings and somehow just kind of balances all out. But that's kind of what I mean. It's like sometimes it feels like this is garbage or should be garbage. It's not, but it's got elements of something that could be garbage. You know what I'm saying? So
no, I do.
It's weird that it balances in such a weird way.
It does feel like oddly discordant with itself at times. I guess that's true. Like you make a good point, because I feel like you have things like the fucking motorcycle ass wheelchair and shit cohabitating with a little girl like collecting cans. Yeah, what the fuck? That kid should be dead well before the werewolf ever arrives in this movie.
That's such a dangerous thing to give a child. It's insanely
like,
irresponsible.
Don't tell your mom. Like don't like it's like I don't know. Well, here's a fifth of vodka for you, Sonny. Enjoy yourself. Like what the fuck?
Well, even before that, he's got the motorized wheelchair and he's going to the gas station. He's joking around with this old timey, you know.
I thought that guy was going to come back in a clutch move or something. Like he spent a moment with that gas attendant.
But
he seemed like he and the kid had a nice relationship or whatever. They did a lot of like building of the community as like building up of these characters or whatever. Really made a town. You know what I mean? But like for some reason, like a lot of them just don't feel utilized. He is one of the main ones to me. It's like you really feel like they built this guy up for a couple of scenes, or at least this one big scene, and it seems like he's gonna be like a guy who like just comes through for Corey Haim at some point, but nothing ever happens. It's weird.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
think
I will say though, like, oh, go ahead.
I was going to speak on the chemistry between our leads here, Jane and Marty. I think that it largely works. You know, the movie sort of starts off with them being at odds, and like Marty is like so sweet after he like pulls his prank on his sister. He buys her a new pair of pantyhose or whatever it is, and like to apologize, and they sort of like start warming to each other a little bit. And then towards the end, she's like full blown trying to help him hunt a werewolf and shit. There's like a nice arc that happens there, and I do think this movie is mostly made for children because like the leads are these two kids that like know what's going on, and they're trying to tell all the adults in the movie, and they just won't listen. Eventually, Uncle Red does, which is like odd because he's the one that is probably the least worthy of their trust because he's just shit faced the whole movie, but he actually does come through in the clutch and helps them out. So there you go.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, I think that there is kind of like there's a step missing in their arc, and to me, the step is the moment where he's reveals, like, where Corey Haim reveals that he saw a werewolf and all that stuff to her. They voice over that, and like, it's hard for me to swallow that this girl who is like very resentful of having to take care of this kid, who, sweet or not at times, is like definitely a burden on her, you know, as a burgeoning young woman or whatever, like trying to live her own fucking life and to be defined by herself. Like they did make a lot of hay out of that in the first like half of this movie, and then like you kick off like that second half with her just being like, he told me, and I believed him.
And yeah, and I don't know.
Like
I
that.
think she even says, and I don't know why, but I completely believed him.
Yeah, it's like,
okay.
Could you try to figure out why for our benefit, since we're not going to get to see it? Like,
that's the element of Troll 2 I'm talking about. Is like sometimes they'll just do shit and be like, well, it's because I want to. That's because the story, and then you're just like, well, okay, I mean, I'm along for this ride. Here we go.
Part of me wants to be critical of that, but I'm like, because, and the reason is because they does have a couple of interesting things going on, especially around Everett McGill. I like, it's very Stephen King to have like a faltering man of God or whatever at the center of all this. I think that's very, like, you know, critical of religion and stuff like that. And like his whole like speech on the broke down bridge, where he's like talking about how he killed this girl who was committing suicide to save her life, and like that sort of twisted logic. Like, man, like if they have that in there, why can't they tell me why the fuck his sister believed him? Like, give me a consistency here.
They do like a lot of like time jumps throughout the course of the movie, because I'm sure, I don't know how long the novelette is. Maybe it's too much to fit into this. Maybe it's just not written, so he just skips over it. I don't know, but I see what you mean. It does kind of blur certain things that would be beneficial to know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just got that inconsistency going, and then he'll do things like when Jane finds the Peacemaker bat in the garage with all the cans or whatever, and Red is like, "Oh, you probably saw a broom handle," and she's like, "No, I like." She's like, I like, she does say like, I know the difference between those two things, but like it takes a minute, and it's like I didn't just glance at this. She could have picked it up. Like, she was like looking at it for like a full 20 seconds of screen time. We were looking at it with her, and it's just, I don't know. And I don't know. It just feels like this movie is like you say, just a little bit on both sides of trying to be just a fun little fable that's accessible to kids, and also, I don't know, like, but it's still like playing with elements that are trying to do a little bit more than that. It feels like, and I don't think that part really lands. It just sort of obfuscates the fun of a simple campfire story.
Yeah, maybe we could have got some more information, like some more like point of view kind of stuff from the Reverend to sort of like fill this story out a little bit, because he seems like he's really got some internal struggles.
Man, he's got that dream sequence. That's about all we really get from him.
I love that dream sequence, though. That is like one of my favorite parts of the movie. Just seeing all of the, like, because it doesn't tell you that it's a dream sequence. It kind of forecasts it a little bit, but it's like, I don't know. I just loved seeing everybody turn into a werewolf. The lady playing the organ turning into the werewolf might be my favorite visual of this movie. It's just being like I love that. And I don't know. And also, speaking of the creature effects in this, they're not great, but they're fun. I thought they were very fun.
Yeah,
I
another.
thought
It's,
most of them were all right. Yeah.
well,
yeah, I mean, like it was better than I thought they would be based on putting
Yeah.
together the graphics for today's episode in advance of watching the movie. I was like, this one's gonna be rough. The stills do not tell a tell a good tale for the graphics. Or
yeah,
the special effects.
they're okay. The one like the one where he gets shot in the eye on the bridge and stuff. Yeah, it's the way it's shot and edited is pretty good. But there's the way that they play it out too is super goofy. So again, when they're in the fog. And that guy's saying,
Yeah.
he's right here with us. And
It's so Scooby Doo.
it is, but
I love that shit though.
there's a shot where they're under the fog.
Yeah.
And the one guy is trying to fight it with the baseball bat, and then it just switches to the arm of the werewolf beating
Yeah.
his ass with the baseball bat.
With the broken
And
baseball because he
yeah,
ripped
it's
it
just
off.
the
Like,
logic of it that this werewolf is just beating this man with a bat.
it's like a Wile E. Coyote cartoon.
Yeah,
Like,
kind of. It's just so
just a-
wacky.
yeah. It's like the like Tasmanian Devil and Wile E. Coyote in a big cloud with their hand will come out for like a beat and grab something or whatever. You know, it's that sort of thing. And I guess if you look at it that way, it's more fun to me. Like watching it though, it's just discordant. Like, and that's the thing is like a lot of this movie is discordant with itself. Is where I think you kind of nailed it, Justin.
The excessive fog really pulled me in that
I
scene.
love
And
that scene. I was thinking of you.
A
I was
lot.
like, damn, Fog
I
Hog
was-
is on point.
out the
I was thinking-
ass.
I was thinking about that. I was like, there's no way this isn't like a 4x2 room with black walls
yeah,
and some
yeah.
shrubs. Like, because how do you contain that fog and
Yeah.
keep
Not
it
in the
directly
woods,
breast
yeah.
level? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah. They nailed that scene. I gotta get a big kick out of that. The big like transformation towards the end, or like detransformation, I guess. Like I thought it was all right. You know, that's sort of like the pinnacle of most werewolf movies is a big transformation scene, and like they're fucking really hard to pull off.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
okay. You know, it's definitely not the best, but I don't think
Yeah,
it's
for
anywhere
the
near the
time
worst.
and what
Yeah.
this movie
You know-
is, yeah, it definitely wasn't bad.
frankly, like werewolf stories in general, werewolf movies are not like top of my, like not my usually my cup of tea. Because like it always seems to be like centered around the transformation scene or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
rare, like you said, Bob. It rarely is convincing enough or frightening or anything because it feels so tired at
It
this
feels
point.
more
You know
like
what I
an
mean? Like,
exercise in practical effects. It feels almost like
Yeah.
to be, yeah.
I look at it like a special
appreciating-
effects,
Yeah. Mhm.
a special effects showcase more than I do a scary scene in a movie,
Me
and that's
too.
always the case. So like I don't know, that's hard to pull off in general for me. And so like watching this now, thinking about when it was made and all that stuff, I was like, yeah, better effects probably were probably were doable at that time.
Yeah,
But
they definitely were, because like The Thing came out before this. They
Right.
didn't have like any of the like big names like a Rob Bottin or like a Rick Baker. Rick Baker, I guess, did work on this a little bit, but he was uncredited, so I don't know how much he was there to help.
Weird.
But it looks like the
Interesting.
werewolf suit was created by Carlo Rambaldi. I've heard of him before, but two other guys worked on it. Francesco Paolucci and Gaetano Paolucci. I'm not familiar with them. So they didn't really have like big names necessarily working on this, but I thought it was all right for the most part. It wasn't like an American Werewolf level necessarily, but it
No.
was,
Yeah.
it was all right.
But like I kind of liked like the claws coming out of the fingertips. Like I don't know, like it felt. It was another one of those effects where it's like realism was not what made it fun for me. It was just like watching the effect play out, you know?
Mhm.
So I did kind of enjoy that, but it isn't. Werewolf movies don't hit me in any sort of scary bone typically. I can't think of one that
Yeah.
really frightens me. And this one came really close to finding an interesting angle in the Reverend,
Hmm.
but
Mm.
it just doesn't really do much with that.
Yeah.
And so I kind of just want that to be its own movie where we have like a you know, a priest that's like struggling with this thing from the beginning, and him like maybe he's the narrator, because the little girl narrating, it's like it's wholesome and it's whatever, but that feels like you say like that feels like its own kind of movie. And then the priest being his self and like doing his like Dexter Dark Passenger routine could have been something
Just
entirely awesome.
a
and cool on
midnight
its own.
mass, but with a werewolf.
Yeah.
Pretty
yeah.
much. I mean,
Do that.
yeah.
I thought the effects they held up pretty well, but the thing that kind of stood out to me was towards the beginning of the movie when he's about to kill the woman who's about to commit suicide. They did this sort of like werewolf POV situation where it felt very much like a slasher movie, and he's like climbing up the lattice, crawling through the window, and all that. And I thought that was like a really good way to show less of the werewolf at the beginning. Maybe they should have done a little bit more of that because werewolves, like if you show just a few seconds too much, they just look hammy and cheesy. So like I thought that was like a decent workaround. Maybe do some more of that in this movie because you don't have like the main guys working on the practical effects here. So
Well, they
work in
show
shadows and POV stuff. Yeah, they do. They show a
show
lot.
so much, especially in the dream sequence. But I think that for the dream sequence that works, that's frightening in its own way, where it's like, oh no, all the rules are thrown out, things are going crazy. It's just kind of like its own fun, like nightmare scenario of this. So it kind of works, and you can kind of see personalities between the different werewolves or whatever. But when you're like, that's the thing. You're totally right. Like showing less is for me always more effective when it comes to werewolves because like seeing a werewolf, I don't know if it's just from overexposure or what. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't strike a scary bone for me. It's more like a fucking Street Fighter character or something. It's just a character. You know?
Now, to be fair, this movie, I actually thought a lot of the kills were solid. We start off with that guy from the on the railroad, and they do the headlinger Hereditary style for a little bit.
The headlinger.
But even the piece of shit dad, he gets pierced
I
on a
liked
broken
that.
board. Yeah, I mean there were some solid kills in this, to be fair.
I really liked that one in particular because it felt like it's one of those things where like it could easily just be like, oh, and the floor collapses under him and that's you just see him fall and that's it. But they went the extra mile of like having just like this collateral damage ultimately be what, not collateral, that's not right, but like this incidental damage. It's not that he's getting clawed. That happens to the first girl. This guy, he gets just like impaled just by virtue of what like the course of being attacked in general.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe what I'm saying. It just doesn't feel like as direct, and I like that because it's got a little bit of tinge of realism to it, where it's like, yeah, like all these people that get attacked a dozen times in a movie and then still limp on over and then eventually are running full speed again. Like it's not that. It's not that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I kind of like that, and I did like the first guy. I wasn't sold on the first kill, the guy at the railroad, until like I saw more kills and I was like, okay, it kind of fits in because at the time I was like, this is very chintzy, and her voiceover was like, it's like the coroners ruled it decided
An
that
accident.
he fell
Yeah,
asleep
fell
on the
asleep
tracks or something, and like there's just nothing else to tell them that anything else happened. I was like, well, they could have just said no to that theory also and just say, we don't know how this guy died.
I don't think there was
doesn't have
any
a head.
blood on the tracks.
There's nothing suggesting like how would he have his head cleanly ripped off, but nothing else hurt his body in any other way? Like that doesn't make any fucking sense. And for her to be just like, again, it's like the glossing over through a voiceover of a child, but it doesn't really gloss.
It was
it
a
over
weird
for
voice.
me.
It's even weird for her knowing that the brother lived, like everything was fine, that she's doing the voiceover because she's not really a main kind of character.
It seems to imply that like he's
dead,
is going to die.
Yeah,
like by when she's telling this, it's like
but
posthumous for him,
yeah.
which I think is effective enough. Honestly, like it's a little bit of a mislead,
okay,
but it's kind of nice. I don't know. It's like any other movie would have just ended with him like having a heroic death and that being that, and her deciding that was what made her decide that he wasn't such a bad brother after all, and that she regrets whatever. Like that's a normal arc for a typical movie. This movie doesn't do that, and instead it's like this is they had this shared trauma. She believed him right away, even though they had a trying relationship, and there's not enough of an arc there really. But I like that it diverts from that.
Yeah, I wish they hadn't done the voiceover stuff. I generally just am not a fan of that in movies. And I think if they had cut it out of this, maybe a little, not really, maybe a little bit of information would have been lost, but you would have been able to pick up on it and like connect the dots, and it would have been totally fine.
You don't need her saying, this is a small town and we care about each other. I mean, the first thing that you get is this, little town festival, spring festival. You don't need it.
It does
This
a
is
lot
set
of
in New York
telling.
City, isn't it? I can tell.
Maybe that's what it is. Is it because it does so much telling instead of showing? That maybe that's what really like pushes it to feel so centered on like a kid's campfire tale when
Yeah.
it's actually got these other things going on that it could lean into and then just doesn't. So I don't know if that's the goal, is to just keep it at this campfire tale level. They did better than they did. They didn't do perfectly, but
Yeah.
it's still mediumly well done. It's just, as an adult viewer, it's like, you don't have to tell me this much. You could also just show me a couple things. Allow the actors to, like, they're already doing all kinds of crazy shit. We're dedicating time to characters who do not fucking matter. Like, so why not use some of that time to dedicate it to, I don't know, the priest a little bit more, or his relationship to the town, or maybe like have a little more side conversations. We went out of our way for so much, and just not for the characters that ultimately are involved.
They used this one sort of spinny newspaper headline type moment that said like maniac claims another life or something like that, and I really liked that one moment, but they never did it again. Maybe that would be something to use in place of the narration. Like newspaper headlines, since we're like jumping in time, you could even have the date on each one, so like where we're at throughout the movie, and
Well,
kind of a neat idea.
Or a radio announcer, or like,
I think you
so
could
many
do
ways to do
different
this.
small town elements, because right after you get that scene, it's the guy holding the newspaper and they're discussing it in the local bar, which is what the small town feel is about. Or even you like maybe on the radio in the barber shop. We go to the barber shop a couple times and the guys are sitting around. I mean, I think that there were better elements to still show this is a small town, how word gets around, what the people are thinking about it, and like use some of these locations that we already see anyways. She's going around collecting cans and shit. We do not need her to narrate now.
No, I agree. It's just
Preach.
it just feels overload, or like
Yeah.
it just feels overly heavy to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I do agree it does lean it more into the kid zone, though, because some big kid kind of horrors. The first one that came to mind was Something Wicked This Way Comes, does the same thing. But the big difference for that one is, the thing is, she's narrating it as a little girl, but she's an adult because she's reflecting on her childhood. So like in Something Wicked This Way Comes, it's a man's voice, an adult man talking about his childhood. So that's just
that's a little strange, but I don't know. It does. I don't know. It just adds a weird cadence to the rest of the movie to me, and I feel like there's a version of this movie where that works perfectly. I just don't. I think that it adds to that sort of like tonal confusion we're talking about.
Yeah.
Would we call this a Halloween movie?
What, based on what? I don't know.
Well,
The climax takes place on Halloween. Yeah.
Does it? I thought. I guess I don't.
Yeah,
remember
that's
that,
why
but
I was kind of saying like it, because it starts in spring, but he does 4th of July fireworks.
Yeah.
I don't know. For some reason, it feels to fit perfectly well. Like I was saying, toward the end of July, when we're already, we joke, oh, it's July 5th. We're getting into spooky season. But to be fair, I will start watching things. And so this is a movie that really does kind of fit in that time where it still feels warm outside, but I'm starting to really get jonesing for some of the classic kind of movie stuff, a werewolf or stuff like. So I would put it on the way to Halloween.
Maybe this is a perfect July 5th watch, because they canceled the 4th of July parade. Yeah. So you get like some 4th of July blue balls, but he does get fireworks from his drunk ass uncle that he lights off.
Blue balls.
And like those are some pretty memorable sequences when he like blinds the werewolf with it and stuff. And there's not the Halloween like moment happens, but there's not big Halloween vibes. You don't see a bunch of jack-o'-lanterns or anything like that.
At all.
So
I honestly did not clock it at all.
I think July is the perfect. We're putting it on the calendar. We're putting together our straight chilling horror calendar. This one goes in July.
I'm already exhausted.
The perfect July 5th movie is definitely Return of the Living Dead, but maybe this is a backup to that.
Anywhere after July 5th to July, what is it? Got 31 days. I don't know. July 30th.
Yeah, whatever. Before August.
Before August starts.
Squeeze it in there.
My God. Yeah. So
My
I-
God.
this is
We need some new segments. Honestly, I mean, come
Randy-
on. We've been doing
do we? let's just keep
we're
adding,
just
adding,
running on
and never
autopilot
subtracting.
here.
Um,
And now it's
I
time
don't-
for Kooky Calendar with Soju. Wah,
Oh,
wah, wah,
God.
wah, 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 wah.
I don't know.
I watched this on July 19th, and here's why.
Jesus
I
Christ.
think lastly, before we land the plane on this, the climax. How do you guys feel about the climax overall? Like the big battle with Busey and the werewolf. That's a
Busey
band
gets
name.
fucking tossed.
He does. Gets his ass tossed.
Dude, he just like lands in, well, I don't know. So what is that? I don't know, some furniture. But he just like gets fucking tossed. That shit was cracking me up.
Some plywood shaped like furniture. Yeah.
The werewolf like bursting into the house like the fucking Kool-Aid man cracked my ass up.
Yeah,
I
it
love
was-
that.
It's fine. Like them hugging. I mean, them just like hugging and I really appreciate you was kind of like, man,
We already could tell because the rest of the movie. Yeah.
Shooting him in the eye was this little kid's got this gun. I don't know.
feels like-
it's,
shot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. Like, I don't know. It felt again. Suddenly, it started feeling more like a kids' movie again. Right at the
Yeah.
end, where it's like all this stuff is very clearly telegraphed already. The kid is like you said, like perfect shot, all that stuff. It just seems like we're rounding it out. Where we've got everything else is in place. You just gotta like fill in the blanks now, and then the movie's done. It didn't do a whole lot for me, is what I'm gonna say.
It's fair.
Okay. Didn't do a whole lot for Randy. You heard it here, folks.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else you guys want to touch on before we rate this thing?
Uh,
No.
No.
All right. Well, let's get into it. Out of 5, Juicy J. How do you feel?
Yeah, this is weird because I was watching it and I was entertained, but at the same time, I was kind of like ready for it to be done even halfway through. But things were carrying me along well enough. And so fucking Gary Busey is insane. Just insane. But to be fair, anytime he's on screen, I want to see what he's doing. I want to see like what he's talking about.
What's he doing?
But I mean, even the first scene of them playing cards and him drinking the crazy shit that he's screaming and but yeah, this is a weird balance of it's got these nostalgia vibes. It hits a lot of the notes that are fun for that time, but then there are these elements that you're like, man, this is really low quality. Wait, no, it's not. And the music kind of brings it back up. I don't know. It feels like the essence of this film is lower tier, and then there are these pieces that just kind of lift it up each time a little bit more. The lines were really funny to me. I liked generally how the town was incorporated, all these kind of red shirts, and it just made it more fun to not just be focusing on this kid all the time. And one thing that but it kind of hurts in some way too. That makes the voiceover and then the kind of back 20-30 minutes where it's all focused on the kids feel a little disjointed, because I did like it more in the beginning where we're in we're in the pub and you get some scenes with the preacher, and then you get some scenes like with the dad whose kids like a lot of the time it like goes away from the kids, but then there's a time where it's all on the kids. And so it feels like it's always teetering back and forth. But overall, I would say that I left this film with a positive feeling, and I could see myself revisiting this. I don't think it's going to be one I'm craving for, but I think if it like crosses my mind, I think like, oh, it's July 19th. I might want to throw this on.
The perfect day.
So, yeah. You know what's perfect for this day?
I don't know. I mean,
Silver
can we push
bullet.
it? Can we push it to 420, please? It couldn't hurt.
So anyways, I think I'm gonna give this one a 3 out of 5.
All
Ooh,
right.
3.
Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna put old Silver Bullet?
I'm pretty positive on this overall. I think we hit on most of the strengths. Something that we didn't really touch on, that the movie makes like very brief mention of this. I think Gary Busey says something about like psychotics being more active when the moon is full. I thought that was like an interesting idea to bring up, and maybe they could, I don't know, make like weave that into the movie a little more as to like maybe why the cops aren't taking it quite so seriously instead of just being totally inept and like overwhelmed because they're a small town. I don't know. I like that idea being thrown around. I think the overall, like the leads, like our main three with Gary Busey and the Corey Haim and the little girl, I don't know the actress's name. I think they do a pretty good job overall. Plus a half star for the excessive fog in this movie. Big fan of that. The score, really, really awesome. I thought there was a lot of really solid synth pieces, but also some really nice orchestral stuff happening. And there was like a moment here or there that almost had this like minor second Jaws thing that like made me just think of Jaws, and I was digging that. I like that they really bring in a lot of the characters in the town and give it like a real small town kind of vibe, and they take you through the course of several months. It just feels kind of like I think those two elements just kind of give it this sort of comfort watch feeling for me. I don't know that like I'm gonna crave to rewatch this a whole heck of a lot, but it had this like warm, cozy kind of small town vibe. I think that's what the filmmakers and Stephen King were kind of going for. Silver King was going for. So I definitely picked up on that and dug that a lot. The narration I really didn't like. I'm generally not a fan of that. And I don't think it was very necessary for this movie. And the practical effects are like mostly pretty good, but some of them are maybe a little janky. And
Yeah.
sometimes that adds some charm to a movie. I don't know that it necessarily does that for this, but the ones that work pretty well. So yeah, I'm going to come in a little bit higher than Juice with a 3.5 out of 5.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
Randy.
Bring us
How
down,
do you feel?
Randy. Balance it
Yeah,
out.
that's the plan. So yeah, I don't have the same affinity for this that you guys do. I can totally understand this being like a comfort watch for somebody who grew up with this. The thing is, like, this movie is, it's not quite adult enough and it's not quite kiddish enough. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
really strike that balance for me. And I when I say I recommend it for people trying to get their kids into horror, I'm assuming that that kid is like entering adolescence, not, you know, this isn't like, this is a little bit older than a Monster Squad maybe, because it's just a little bit more mature in that way. It's playing with some ideas, some themes and things like that, like things that kids are not interested in, but it doesn't make enough good on those promises, on those ideas, to where it feels rounded for an adult. You know, it, like, those things just aren't really hitting for me. Like, the voiceover is like a little telly, not enough showy. You know, they've got all these little things. Like, there's so much they could have done. Like, it's clear that they were trying to make this small town devolve into some paranoia, but they don't. It doesn't really, like, that is just sort of like done by the third act. You know, like, it stops being a thing once Terry O'Quinn is killed. And I just, like, you could have done more. They could have leaned more into the who done it of it all. They could have done a little like monsters on Maple Street sort of thing. Like, there's just a lot of like little threads that they could have extrapolated on, instead of, you know, some of the stuff they decided to extrapolate on that were not as interesting to me. And if they had done that, it would be like maybe a more complete movie that is good for families, as opposed to for somebody in that specific age group, which I'm not. So like, it just wasn't like quite landing for me. You guys mentioned the score. I'll be honest, like, I did not pick up on the score in general. Like, I didn't think about it. It was maybe good, but I was just trying to like figure this movie out mostly. It's enjoyable to watch Gary Busey be a little insane, as always. And it is like, I like some of the characterizations, and like that some of these people feel like, I don't know, they feel distinctive from each other and yet still part of a whole. That works. I think, Rob, you're right to say that it's a little bit like My Bloody Valentine in that way, where there's like a distinctiveness and yet a cohesiveness at the same time. That's somewhat successful. They just, like, the setting, everything, like, it's all good, but they just don't do enough with the pieces. And they also don't make it juvenile enough for it to work as less than that for me. So to me, I enjoyed it less than I did enjoy it ultimately. So I'm going to give it, using your similar logic to you, Juice, I was going to say something similar. I'm going to go just under 2.5 to a 2. So that's me.
So a 2 even, Randy?
2 even, yeah.
A 2 even. That's going to put our aggregate at a 2.83 repeating. Gasp. So as per usual, whenever you guys do pick a movie for us to talk about on the show, we allow you guys to send in either a voicemail or an email with your own rating and review. And our boy Kennephus Prime sent us over an email with his thoughts. You have that pulled up, Juice?
I do. Okay. Hey, Straight Chillin' crew. Holy jumped up bald-headed Jesus Palomino. There's a werewolf in Tarker's Mills. Hope you guys enjoyed Silver Bullet. Here goes my ramble review. This one was one of my favorite horror flicks as a kid. Okay, there you go, boys. Its blend of humor and horror made it one of many films that broke me from being frightened of scary movies to loving them. As an adult, I appreciate that angle still, but I also appreciate other aspects of the story much more. The way the Coleslaw family is portrayed, the community of Tarker Mills being wholesome but not without problems, and the mix of both guilt and arrogance that come from the Reverend Lowe are all standouts. Yeah, I agree. Megan Follows and Corey Haim did fantastic in portraying siblings that annoy each other, but still love each other. Busey feels like that uncle a lot of us had in the 80s, but what's great is, damn, dude, but what's great is seeing him change over time in the movie. Does he? Maybe.
He makes his son an unregulated fucking vehicle to drive on the streets with.
Well, okay, he goes on. He goes from Marty's mom not even wanting him to see Marty to her being okay with him watching her children for a weekend. I mean, I don't know if that's a change in Busey.
I think he just broke her down.
Well, he broke her down and then offered them basically a bribe, like, well, here's a free getaway I won, and you can have it. I don't know. Boop, boop, bop.
I turned in enough wild turkey points. I got this trip to the Bahamas.
Yeah, it's like Marlboro money.
All right, hang on. Let me finish the email. Sorry. I wish there was more scenes like this one in Church from Brady's Funeral, where Red pulls out his flask, looks at Marty, and puts it back away. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was all right. The concept is still there and visible enough, though. I watched the director's commentary yesterday, and I guess a lot of his lines were ad-libbed as well, which doesn't surprise me as some of them are off the wall. Also, apparently, a lot of the extras were residents of the town where the movie was shot. That's cool, which is pretty cool. The last thing I wanted to touch on is Marty's condition. I think King did a really good job of depicting Marty as someone who never gives up and more often than not doesn't feel bad about his situation. There's the baseball scene, but outside of that, he always seems very content with his life. I'm sure something can be said today about hiring a disabled actor for the role, but given the time frame, I think it was handled decently. I could ramble forever about this movie, so I'll stop there. It's not perfect by any means, but it's definitely a movie I really enjoy and have watched too many times to count, so my personal score is a 4.5 out of 5 for Silver Bullet. P.S. For last week's prompt, other werewolf films I love: An American Werewolf in London, The Wolfman 1941, Ginger Snaps, Dog Soldiers, Teen Wolf, and it's not good by any means, but special mention of Project Metal Beast, because it's a film you could go full MST3K on. Kennephus Prime. Also, too, I mentioned it around Christmas. And I'm going to completely forget the name of it. There's a pretty fun Christmas werewolf film that I just watched this past. You know what I'm talking about, right, Bob?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name too. It's a solid one.
It is solid, yeah.
It's like the week between Christmas and New Year's Eve, so it's like a decent New Year's Eve movie too, actually.
Yeah.
And
Werewolf Santa?
No, not that one.
That's what Google thinks it is.
I'll try to look
on
mine.
Snow Hollow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. The Wolf of Snow Hollow. It's
Yeah.
a police officer hunting,
Yeah.
kind of similar to this. There's like
Yeah.
a killer on the loose. He's trying to figure out who's doing it,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and it's Christmas time, and he can't crack the case.
Was that Sam
Pretty solid.
Richardson?
From 2020. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I recommend
Kind of a
people-
dark comedy, and he's an alcoholic too. Actually, there's kind of a lot
He
of
is,
similarities.
similarities. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I should watch that maybe. But
You
Only
should.
Christmas time, Randy. You know the perfect time to watch that?
I'm gonna watch it today. I'm gonna do it right
Don't
now.
do it, man.
I'm already watching it. I'm
November
halfway through.
29th to December 15th is.
Mhm.
That's when you want to get it in. So yeah,
That
thanks for taking this movie, Canopus,
Yes, thank you.
and for writing in, man. A lot of good thoughts.
Appreciate
there.
it, buddy.
Thank you.
Yes, solid pick. I know a lot of folks do like this one. So yeah, let's go and jump into a Rotten Tomatoes segment and see what the critics and users think about Silver Bullet.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which I'm going to have these gentlemen guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive score is on RottenTomatoes.com for Silver Bullet. We're going with both critics and users, starting with the critics. Now, this critical score, it is based on a very small number, 22 reviews. So there's only 22 reviews for this film listed on Rotten Tomatoes on a critic level. Knowing that, I'm going to start with Bob this week. Bob, what do you think that those 22 critics, what do you think that their aggregate of positivity is going to be?
I don't think it's going to be terribly high, but I don't think it's going to be like in the basement either. So I'll do a little on the positive side, I think. Well, with just a 60 even, I'll go with that.
60 even. All right. Juice, how you combating this? Over, under, somewhere way off from Bob? What do you think?
From the critics, this one's so tough because nostalgia's gonna play in, time frame's gonna play in, reputation's gonna play in. 60. Man, this really could go either way. I think I'll maybe take the under. I'll say 55.
55. 55 here. All right. Quick mathing. Yeah, okay. So one of you is just 14 percentage points
Oh, man,
away
here we
from the
go. All right.
perfect score.
I think this is going
The
Bob.
The correct score is 41%,
Oh.
giving Justin the edge here. He's going to take this one home.
Oh man,
Damn.
okay. I thought it might swing positive. Damn, okay. Lower than I thought. It's hard because you don't know when these reviews
Were written,
are
yeah.
written. Yeah. You could have a bunch
don't
of
know a
critics
thing?
saying like I grew up with this film, when I was a kid. You could have a bunch of critics saying, "Hell yeah."
Oh,
Bullshit,
fuck.
Bullshit, look.
I gotta give you credit for that one. I didn't see it coming. I usually can. I didn't see
Very
it
silly. Very silly of you to not see that coming.
Yes, yes.
All right. Let's move over to our audience score now. There are over 10,000 audience ratings here, so a significant jump in ratings here. What do you think that translates to for the aggregate positive score, Justin?
I think this one's got to be more positive. But it's still gonna be capped. I'll take this. I think I'll take the 60 this time.
60? All right. Bob, your number got swiped. Where are you going?
I'm gonna take the over. I'll go with the comedy number of 69, please.
69. Dude.
69, dudes!
Thank
All
you.
right. Some quick mathing here. And it's very quick mathing. So there's somebody here on this very call, who has guessed just 4 percentage points away from the correct number.
Oh,
And
hey.
that correct number is 56%. Justin is going to
God
sweep this week
damn.
with a second win.
That's a hell yeah
Congrats
sweet.
to you.
Oh, fucking
Jumped the
shit.
ball-headed Jesus Palomino.
Thank you.
That's bullshit, look. Bullshit, look.
There you go.
That is some bullshit. love.
That's a good bump to keep around.
Yeah.
We'll try. Space is running light here.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 56%, not a big crowd pleaser even amongst the audience that has participated on Rotten Tomatoes. I was a
Yeah.
little surprised because I don't know, I just kind of thought the way you guys did that it was going to be beloved among the majority of people who are going to take the time to write a review for this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Especially seeing Kinefis, his score 4.5 out of 5. I was thinking along this, like, there's got to be enough people who feel in that same kind of way, and it's good enough to where, you know, where we didn't see it growing up, and we all still rated it fairly positive, you know.
Yeah, I mean, no, we
Yeah.
didn't, but
Well,
two of
Randy
us did.
didn't.
2 out of 3. Yeah. 2 out of 3.
But still, Randy was on
Um,
par with the 40%, which is what it ended up being. So me and Bob being higher, I would assume that it would have been higher. But yeah.
Well, let's do as we always do and read a couple of negative reviews out of the Rotten Tomatoes critic section here. I'm going to read the first one that's just jumped out at me because it's so short. Nothing to howl about.
Oh,
Werewolves are
get
swinging into
fucked.
theaters.
God.
Werewolves are lupining into theaters. No, that's so silly to me. Like, I don't think that anybody using such lines has a lot to critique a movie like this about, because that's very silly. Here's one that I'm reading now and is kind of funny. A bad parody of the werewolf films that are set in small town middle America. It is a bad parody because it is not in any conceivable way a parody. Who the fuck
Yeah.
is this?
Did they think it was?
No.
I
Did-
guess.
Did they watch the right movie?
I don't know, man. It doesn't seem like it. Maybe they were watching the Sam Richardson one. It's Sam Richardson, right? Anyway, yeah. One more just for the road. A horror flick for young fans who aren't quite prepared for the really scary stuff. I actually agree with that personally.
Yeah. On point. Finally. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's that perfect spot for this movie in my mind, is in the little valley between childhood and adulthood.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. Bob, how's our trivia section looking today?
I got a few points. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
All right.
It's totally time for trivia.
Yeah, I found a couple little things here that were pretty interesting. So the werewolf dream sequence we mentioned when we were talking about the movie here utilized a total of 70 extras. They were all divided up into 4 groups with various levels of makeup and costume. They range from approximately 10 principal actors used for close-ups and action shots. They had the most refined looks, while the remainders were just made up to appear menacing and fill out the rest of the church to give it a full house appearance. They had at least 10 legit werewolves in that scene. It's a lot. It's a lot of shit.
It is a lot. Especially in full view, too.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like really well lit. They weren't hiding like anything.
That's the only scene that I really think like had that I would point to saying like this has okay editing going on. It doesn't for a lot of the movie. Like there's soft wipes and shit in this movie. It's like I thought they stopped that after Star Wars, but I don't know. Like that scene to me, like because it only sells the werewolves at all because it cuts so quickly from one person to the next. Like if it didn't go quickly enough, it would be completely laughable, I'm sure. And if it went like if it goes too fast, then you don't even know what the fuck's happening. So I think they bridge that nicely.
Yeah, I agree. So the main werewolf suit, the construction of it took 3 months to finish. And after they got the shape and design, they used three-dimensional clay heads, and the entire costume was made up of foam and polyurethane and was covered in actual real-life bear hair. And the head of the costume was mechanically operated by 6 people from a distance up to 30 feet away.
Damn, that just goes to show you how much effort goes into something that still looks pretty not great.
I think that like
I mean, I'm not knocking it because
Yeah.
actually it looks pretty good for what we're working with here. But still, just like to put it in those terms, 3 months of making this, 6 fucking people to work this head and all, and you're like, yeah, that's like not that
Yeah,
great.
it
I've
feels
seen
shitty to
better.
critique. That's the thing, is
It
it feels
does,
shit.
yeah.
This is where I'm
Yeah.
going with my like movie viewing life. I think I'm softening on so many things because
Yeah.
I'm just like, yeah, but they worked really hard, and I couldn't. So
Yeah, you're
like,
just,
I don't know.
you're an adult now, like, oh man, they put in a lot of effort. Come on, guys, let's give them credit
Yeah.
for that.
Life is
mean, I'm not-
hard. Give them
Yeah.
credit.
I mean, I know
Yeah.
they also worked
Life
hard on
is hard.
Space
I'm
Jam
tired.
2023, but that's a whole different story. But this smaller production, older,
Yeah.
like physical practical effects, I'm a lot softer on them being not like being no sale to me. Like
Yeah.
I just like, I don't know.
I
I feel
agree,
like
yeah.
we give a lot of shit to other reviewers, or we have on the Slack, for like, going from very critical to softer. I think I'm doing the same thing because I've seen so many movies and I know how much effort goes into every goddamn one of them.
I've
It's
seen
really
some
tough to be
shit,
like,
man. Down in the trenches.
Well, also too, at this point, this movie is like 50 years old, so anyone who worked super hard on it is dying.
I'm sure they
so.
got some better
They,
stuff.
they
under their
got
belts
enough
after this.
credit.
Goddamn,
Throughout
Stephen
their
King is still
life.
kicking,
He is.
God.
I'm just saying.
but he's dying.
He's
Um,
We're all dying, I guess. So
That's true. 1 second
yeah.
at a time, brother. 1 second at a time.
This timeline, it's gonna end one day.
I got
man.
just 2 more quick ones here. Actually, this one's not quick, so that's a lie. Marty and Jane's giving their silver medallion and cross to their uncle to get them made into a silver bullet is a subtle reference to the story of the Beast of Guvadon, I think is how you say that. Probably the most famous werewolf story in history and the origin of the silver bullet myth. In the story, a werewolf rampaged through the French countryside for 3 years in or near a town called Guvadon. According to the story, after the beast killed the wife and the child of a local hunter by the name of Jean Chastel, he had his cross and family heirloom made into a silver bullet and made the local priest bless it 3 times. Because of its popularity, the story has found its way into many works of fiction regarding werewolves. Well, history.
sounds like it was
Interesting.
more of the blessing that kind of helped it out there.
The blessing.
Shit, I want that bump. That's a perfect bump moment.
Yeah.
That's interesting. And like, I was thinking about the silver bullet because they obviously, like, whole movie name, the movie's centered around it. The name of this fucking unlicensed machinery is the silver bullet. It's just so ingrained in this. And I'm like, I don't know where that really came from, because it's like they were saying some shit talking about like old stories or whatever. I was like, yeah, but there's no like ancient texts talking about fucking bullets. So what are
Yeah.
we doing here? It's like saying, like, I don't know. Like, it's like
I just told you, Randy.
I did. It's like finding out like the Star 69 came from an old wives' tale or some shit. Like, it's just like, what are you talking about? It's so fucking weird. I don't know.
Kids
I
don't know
just
what
think
you're
that's-
talking about.
It's when you
You're-
69
that's a-
I barely
really
know what I'm
well.
talking
That's a
about
very
on all
old
fronts, but-
reference.
I'm a Star
Yeah.
69er. Okay.
Before
Yeah.
there was a screen to tell you who's calling, you had to dial the star 69.
Wait till I tell you about 10-10-220. It was
Sounds
a
like
big
a sex
deal.
hotline, which also is a very old reference.
Those
Do
were the
still
900 numbers.
Those still
They
exist.
were
Do
like
you
a-
think there's still sex hotlines that exist?
They're
Yeah,
called
yeah.
chat rooms. dude.
Really?
They're,
I
or
mean-
they're called
Which ones do you go to,
Chatterbait.
Randy?
Like, why would you pay so much money for
OnlyFans.
a sex chat call when you could just go to the internet?
Juice. That's not.
Oh, I don't know.
personal.
I think they've transitioned to the internet. Yes.
Oh,
I
okay.
don't-
That's why I was asking. Do you think they still exist?
They've morphed. No, not in that form, but it's the
Okay.
same basic
If
function.
you call 1-800 straight chilling, you'll find out.
I'm a monster!
Damn. So one more very quick one here. John Candy was allegedly considered to play Uncle Red in this movie.
Hmm.
You had to do Uncle Buck instead.
Yeah,
Gotta be an uncle somewhere.
he's just the uncle character. I think that would have given this more of like a wholesome, grounded kind of like kid kind
Probably.
of vibe.
Probably.
And I think it would have been
Gary
good, but
Busey's just-
different. Would have been different. Yeah.
The thing is I don't mind Gary Busey being in this film. In
No.
fact, he gives it
Yeah.
the personality of what it is. But I would agree that, like, it's hard to say. Yes, I agree. John Candy would give it more of the childhood feel, and would that make it feel like more of a classic? Maybe, I don't know, but the wackiness is what I'll kind of remember about this movie, so
Yeah.
it's hard to say.
That's a very different kind of movie. Like, he's strictly a comedic actor, and for all of Gary Busey's hilarity, I don't think that a majority of it was supposed to be that funny. Like, I think it was supposed to be like at most bantery, and
Yeah, it's
he's
not
just
even
like so
necessarily
ridiculous.
funny. It's funny to laugh
It's
at.
bizarre.
Like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's
I think
not
he is
like-
trying to be funny, but he's doing it in such a roundabout way that it's like it horseshoes back to being funny again. And I don't. That's not John Candy's thing. He's just a funny guy. Like,
No,
it's
yeah.
just straight
Right,
up.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so I don't know what he
You
would
see-
do. Like, would he
you
be
see he's playing
Uncle Buck?
4D chess over here, and we're getting mind fucked.
I know we are getting
maybe.
mind fucked. That's what's happening.
Maybe he's just actually chugging wild turkey, and that's
Yeah,
That's
maybe
it.
he's just high on cocaine and,
that's yeah.
and
That's
it's just
probably
An
the
allegory.
fucking gotta get rid of those bumps, dude. Gotta.
Won't do it. Never.
Oh,
these are going to be
God.
lost episodes because we're going to have to.
Yeah. I
Give
started that
give 'em
that
over.
documentary about him lying about Sandy Hook last night. I had to turn it off. It was
Oh,
too sad.
Jesus, guys.
Way too sad.
I can't even.
Well,
Yeah. Go ahead.
so yeah, fucking get rid of that shit. Let's go
I'm not
on
sorry.
and talk about the cooter of the week.
All right, let's do it.
Straight chillin'.
Gooder of the week.
Juice, what is a cooter and why do we hunt them?
Ho! Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter, but we want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall look and attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, who's our cooter this week?
Man,
Is Red a cooter?
We gotta start with Red though, right? I mean,
Mhm.
even if he's not, we gotta start there.
start with you gotta. That's the first person you're gonna think of every time you think of this
Yeah.
movie.
So patheticness.
Yes, but no. at
He's
the same
that.
time. I don't know. Like,
he's like that drunk. I mean, I would say he's that drunk uncle you don't really want hanging out with your kids, but he's so childlike that your kids are endeared to him until they
love him, yeah.
become and until they become thinking adults and realize, damn, their uncle is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I
Uncle
would
Red
say
shat his pants last week. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I would say he fits in that realm where as a kid, you can't understand why people give him such a hard time. And then as an adult, you're like,
Yeah.
oh, God.
He
So-
does like
because he was
really
gambling with me and drinking wild turkey. That's
Yeah,
why.
as a 10-year-old.
As a
He-
10-year-old child.
he does actually care about the kids though, and it's very, very
He
clear.
does.
He loves those
He
kids.
does. But I would also say, though, at first, at least, he definitely favors the boy, which
Marty,
it seems like
yeah.
everybody
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of does.
Everybody
so he's Not,
does.
yeah. So,
Which
yeah, from the
yeah.
perspective of the girl, I don't know. If
And
you're looking at this man from the perspective of the girl, then when you would say, yeah, he's absolutely
Yeah.
pathetic.
He is chugging wild turkey in his nephew's face. So
Yes.
pathetic, sure, we can give him that.
I mean, he eventually does like Kenneth pointed out.
Yeah,
like,
he
he
did.
put his flask away and stuff. Like he knows, but he had to be in a church at a funeral next to his nephew in order for that to take hold. He still considered it.
And
So
then
I don't
also
know, like
too, when he drives him home, I thought they were gonna have this kind of heartfelt moment, but the way
No, he just
he's like,
laughs
"Oh,
at
it's-
him."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, what? Your friend's dead?" It's so ridiculous about it. I was like, "Well, okay." So yeah, I think pathetic we could give him.
it's a little pathetic. At least, I mean, like I don't know. I hate like because it's not just the alcoholism; it's the poor fucking decision making and
Sure.
like
He
the
gives him
idea-
a death trap to ride around
yeah,
in.
he
like,
gives him. It's like giving a kid a go-kart with a fucking V8 engine. It's insane.
And
like,
also gives him a shit ton of like huge fireworks to operate by himself after
Yeah.
curfew with the killer on the loose.
and the
I mean, I
and the
don't-
kid goes out after curfew into the
You can-
fucking woods to shoot him
Yeah.
off.
That was also really sad. something about that scene of just this kid alone doing fireworks on the 4th. It was such a bummer to me. I was like, go hang out with your nephew. Just him being alone was so sad to me.
I really like that scene because the werewolf attack was just cool. I don't know, but when you frame it like that, it's really fucking
just
sad,
leading up to it, like not the scene, but leading up to it, when he's just out there, this kid in his wheelchair doing fireworks by himself, it just bummed me out. It really
Marty's got that upper body strength, man, because he climbs out that second story
Dude, he
window.
really does.
Like,
that would be
problem.
so hard.
And out of the tree and everything. Like, yeah, he's got the upper body strength. God damn.
Good.
I don't want to be like cinema sins about this, but also like that rocket that he was told to save because it's the big one.
Oh yeah,
it just shoots directly into the werewolf's eye, and then that's it. I was like, oh, is it going to explode? Yeah. Is that the end? No,
I thought so too.
Yeah, I don't know. Could have been. I just why set it up that way? Why not just say here's some fireworks? Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah,
but that's neither here nor there.
So no sexual deviance here, I don't think.
No, he's just living his thing. He laid down with some lady, but nothing weird about it. Really.
Yeah. Manipulation.
Not really. Not in any way that is unwarranted. The only thing that I can think that he manipulates is, well, I don't know, manipulation in terms of lying to the parents about that death trap. I would maybe say.
Well, and also too, he like the vacation situation. He does get them away,
but that's for a good purpose. Yeah. Like that's to me, like that's a necessary thing. Yeah, but I mean, if just any level of manipulation counts, then like everybody counts.
I only manipulate you boys for good purposes.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I really appreciate your.
I manipulate you all the time, but it's always for a good cause.
Doubt it. He looks fine. His clothes are fine.
Yeah, he's
tired.
Normal.
And then
I don't know if he's in there, man. Like I think
not,
every point we've talked about, he's like even the ones that we gave to him are a little on the fence. I think he's not a cooter. If he's just I don't know,
weird.
Sort of a cautionary tale. He's just not he's just scary. He's like what do you like? People get confounded by the idea of like Nick Cage and what Nick Cage brings to the table, how he acts, or whatever. No. Gary Busey is the guy we should be looking at for that shit. Like Nick Cage, everything he does is a decision. I don't know how many decisions Gary Busey actually makes about what is coming out of his mouth at any time.
And people sit back and think, you know who'd be perfect for this role? My boy Gary Busey.
Have you guys seen Black Sheep?
Yeah,
I have, but it's been a long time. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, I don't remember. I remember his character, but not much.
I couldn't like pinpoint anything about it.
That's a good Gary Busey movie. He's like a vet living out in the woods in this old like rundown school bus, and he brawls with Chris Farley and shit. It's wild.
Don't they like fall down a hill or something?
Chris Farley does, for like 5 minutes or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, vague. I need to revisit that one. When's a good time to watch it in the year, Bob? What's
election year? So
I guess election season. Yeah.
November. Oh well, I gotta
November
watch it
4th.
this year then, or I gotta wait 4 more years.
Honestly, this year could not hurt to watch a comedy.
We could all use a laugh.
Yeah, it's either that or drink yourself into a stupor. Those are the only options. Maybe both.
Any other cooters and potential cooters?
I mean, you could say The Priest.
Yeah, yes. Manipulation.
That's where I was going to go.
Smug arrogance because of the way he's kind of justifying
he's
some
saving
of this.
people. Yeah.
You meddling little shit.
So
I love Everett McGill so much.
So manipulation, I think, is good. Manipulation and smug arrogance, I would think he gets. Yeah.
Well, it's arrogance, but like him saying that like I can't kill myself because in our religion suicide will send you straight to hell forever. Like that's interesting.
Yeah, murder.
But like but not murder. It's like well, okay.
I can't murder people because shit. Oh fuck. Oh me.
Yes, I can't kill myself, but I can kill other people. God's cool with that.
Isn't that just religion though? You kind of make it work.
I know. Well, that's why it's so interesting, and they just don't do anything with it. So like I don't know. That's a writing issue. But like as far as that goes, I don't know if it's like I don't know. It's tough to pin any one cooter point on that.
No sexual
I think.
deviance, I don't think.
I don't think so.
Not that we saw.
Patheticness. Maybe.
Maybe.
He's
I think
like he's clearly
He
kind of like
fails to
torn
kill
up
a
about
child.
it. Well, he's also kind of like torn up about it too. So he's like manipulating himself, but in his dreams and stuff, he's feeling
Yeah.
the
I wish they
guilt
did
and
more with
just
that, man. Like
me
his
too, yeah.
conflict, his inner turmoil is just so underplayed, and it's a shame.
Well, at the beginning
Um,
too, there's a little pathetic where he's trying to kind of control the crowds and they just ignore him and just kind of brush him
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
Some touch of it. Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe
It's-
Cooter Light.
I think that's probably a little generous,
Stretch,
honestly. I just
yeah.
think he
Okay.
he is
Right,
deserving of comeuppance, and
Yeah.
that's the one ghost pillar that we don't
Point, yeah.
always bring up. But I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, all right. We can move on.
Cooter free. Cooter free.
Since
All right.
1980 something.
1985. All right, well, let's keep rolling and talk about what we've been watching this week.
All right, take it to the Matthews Bridge.
Hey, gang, what you been watching?
Randeezy, what you been watching?
Yeah, not a whole lot this week. Just too much going on. Like my last month and a half has been so fucked up in terms of having time to do anything. It just seems like I don't have time to watch movies. So we finished up Avengers Endgame and Infinity War, Beck and I, on our little timeline viewing. I have no idea if we will get the gumption to continue forth into Shang-Chi from here. But those two movies are so fucking cathartic, and with all the problems that like internal logic inconsistencies and things like that happen in Endgame in particular,
yeah,
it's so easy to ding that movie with CinemaSin style, but it's not. It's just so fucking cathartic to see all those goddamn people
that really
show
is.
up and do their thing. Like it's so fun. Like
It
that's the pinnacle of that franchise.
It
Is
really is.
those two and the first Avengers movie don't really like, and maybe Civil War as well, or maybe like the best that MCU has to offer to me. Enjoy them. I watched Puppet Master 2 against my better judgment, and it does, like, man, I forgot everything about that movie, and it has some nostalgia factor for me, but it doesn't. The enjoyment kind of ends there. Like it's faster paced than the first one, which I'm eternally grateful for because that one was a slog. But man, and it's got kind of a scene chewing villain, and it's got like some bizarre fucking effects. So it's not without its fun, but it is absolute schlock. And again, it's not an ideal lonesome viewer situation, which was my situation. So yeah, maybe better left in the past for me. And then the last thing I watched was not a movie. It was I got to go see Jeff Rosenstock on tour. He's my favorite musician. He was in
Nice.
Baltimore, and I got to go check that out. It was a lot of fun. Did an extra long encore. Had a great time. I don't know how else to put it. I tried to do the math on how many times I've seen this man play, and including Bomb the Music Industry, which was his band before he went solo, quote unquote solo, or did his under his own name. I think it's more than 12. I think it's probably closer to 15 times I've seen him, and it just doesn't get old. The man is like a fucking powerhouse on stage. I don't know how he gets the energy to do that at night after night. But
Cocaine.
Still going. Glad to hear he's still going.
He's still going. Anthony Fantano just gave him like album of the year this past year, and so like the crowd was like a significant amount of much younger people. And one of the, like John, who's the guitar or bassist on stage, he was like, he made a reference to the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And he was like, this place reminds me of like where the Foot Clan would hang out.
Oh,
and he's like,
man.
that's for the 35-year-olds in the audience. Give us a yell, 35-year-olds. And like 2 people yelled. I didn't even. And I was like, man. He's like, and then he's like, how's your back? How's your back, guys? And then I had like no joke, like less than 5 minutes earlier been to Beck, like, man, my back's kind of hurting. So he was speaking directly to me is what was happening.
Randy.
A lot of fun though. Yeah,
Nice.
that's it for me. How about you, Juice?
Not a whole lot, but It's festival season, boys. So here we go. We're already kicking off that festival season. So most of what I've been watching is just these screeners. One of the ones I watched for the upcoming Overlooked was Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person, which is one that got a lot of buzz last year. I didn't realize it was still kind of doing its festival runs, and because I tried to watch it last year, I thought it had already been released, and it held up to the hype. I thought that was a good one and should be one people keep an eye out for. I watched.
I didn't realize we were doing
maybe
Overlook stuff.
Shouldn't. Maybe.
I mean, it's up to you. I don't have a problem with it, but if you're gonna do it, I'm gonna come up.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do a big wrap-up show too. I mean, but you keep it brief.
I'll just mention I watched a movie called Dead Male. It was very fun, and I liked it.
Yeah.
Continue.
I watched that new Korean one. We talked a bit about it on the Slack because it came out in Korea earlier, but I didn't get a chance to watch it because they didn't have the English subtitles. But now it's doing international festival runs. They have the English subtitles. So it's called, in English, it's called Exuma, but in Korean, it's called Pamyo. And it was good. It's a wild movie. A lot of people compared it to The Wailing. I don't know if that's necessarily the best comparison, but it's got some shaman. It's like very entrenched in kind of like shamanism and superstition. So I get it, but different kind of movie, but interesting, very interesting. And then to kind of replace my MCU recent watching, I was watching that X-Men 97. They released 2 episodes on it on Disney. And it was pretty good. It's pretty consistent, with the old style cartoon with a little bit of like updatedness to it. I will say there's a couple things that just kind of like got under my skin a little bit. The Rogue's voice, the new Rogue, for the most part, I don't know if they got a lot of the same voice actors or not.
I think they did intentionally, yes.
For the most part, I couldn't notice any major change or difference, but Rogue, specifically with the Southern kind of accent, it was really bad to me, really stood out to me. And then they put Magneto in this wild costume. It's really ridiculous. So that was kind of weird to me. But other than that, it was pretty on point with old school, X-Men cartoon. So that was kind of cool. And then rewatched A Tale of Two Sisters and The Wailing. Since I was kind of getting into this Korean horror again, it's kind of jonesing to watch those. So I watched those and still good. We've covered both of those on the show, I think. So good stuff. Bob, what you been watching?
A couple things. So this past week, Sunray Cinema here in town had their annual Sleeping Giant Film Festival. And so I went a couple nights to that and saw some stuff. Thursday night, I went to go watch this movie called Cuckoo, which is also the opening feature at Overlook this year. And this is a Dan Stevens joint. And it takes place in the German Alps. This family moves to this sort of remote location at this inn, and it's the off season, so there's not a lot of people staying there, and they're going to invest and like build a new wing of the inn. And their daughter is sort of she's a musician, and she's not quite getting along with her new stepmother, and crazy shit happens in this remote location in the Alps. That's pretty cool, pretty weird. It's a very weird movie. It has some like Italian, like giallo-esque vibes. It's not a giallo, but it has like kind of those vibes going on, like some weird Italian type of influences. Interesting movie. I also saw on Friday night, I went up there for the Found Footage Festival, which Randy, you saw like a month ago or something. You were talking about it on the show.
I pooped in my pants in school, and I just left it in all day. And
now I know where that bum comes from.
Oh shit.
Yes, I did. They were at a sort of like VHS collectors mini con sort of thing at a brewery in Baltimore. It's a lot of fun, isn't it? Did you enjoy yourself?
I had a great time. It was
that shit's very funny.
Fantastic. I didn't realize they had been doing this for like 20 years. So these two guys have a YouTube channel, and they go around and collect old VHS tapes from garage sales, dollar stores, wherever you can find them. People mail them shit. And they sort of curate it and cut the gold together out of these tapes. And then they have like little clips that they'll go on tour with, and they'll play the clips and give you context in between them and make jokes and stuff. And super entertaining, great show. You can tell they're like a well-oiled machine. They've clearly been doing this a while. but I really enjoyed it. Super funny shit, and that pooped in my pants, left it in all day bump came from one of the tapes that they showed and talked about, and it's this guy who's teaching a seminar on like how to have proper bowel movements, and he just says wild shit, man. It's awesome.
I'm an executive by day and a wild man by night.
Is that another one of theirs?
Oh,
yes, that's from the dating tape. Is that what? Yeah, god damn. A lot of good shit. Anyway, yeah, if the Found Footage Festival is rolling through your town, definitely check them out. Had a really good time.
And they have a weekly live show on YouTube called VCR Party, and that's how I got to know them a little bit better after years of seeing their stuff around.
Yeah, funny dudes. I've also been watching screeners for the Overlook. I watched Dead Male and the Humanist Vampire today. I liked them both quite a bit.
I thought you would like Humanist Vampire.
Yeah.
Right up your alley.
I did.
Goth boy Bob.
That's me. And Dead Male had some wild shit, man. I really liked it.
Oh, you did watch it?
I watched it
liked
today.
it too, man.
Good stuff.
We're gonna have to talk about that.
Yeah, hard to explain. I don't know if it has like an actual release date, so I won't get into it too much. But we'll do a big. Dude, the soundtrack's amazing. We'll do a big Overlook wrap-up episode like we did last year and the year before that. We'll talk about all these movies, and we'll keep it spoiler-free. And hopefully we'll have some release dates to throw out there, too. So, some pretty cool titles coming your way, for sure. And also, I've been watching some Treme because we're going to New Orleans, and, you know.
Gotta do it.
Tis the season to watch Treme on HBO. And that's
you watch that show like every year, don't you?
Yeah, basically.
Damn, dude.
It's always the season for Treme.
We are very impressed.
Oh, please be impressed. That's all I've been watching this week. Let's go and jump over into our Hotline Screams.
Hotline Screams.
If you guys are listening and would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got one voicemail this week, and we're hearing from our Canadian friend Cole. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey guys, it's Canadian Cole calling. I haven't called in a really long time, and I really have nothing important to say. I've been meaning to call in for a long, long time, like before Christmas for sure, and it just seems like I never do. So here I am. I'm finally thought, fuck it, I'm gonna call this morning. I remember a long time ago you guys talked about if you could pick somebody, if you could pitch an idea to somebody, what would it be? And like ever since I was little, I've always wanted to see a horror Pokemon movie taken super seriously, and same with this one's been made, but it turned out like dog shit. But a super serious Grinch movie, horror obviously would be, I think, could be done super, super cool. I also meant to call in around New Year's because I was doing my Spotify wrap up, and because you guys were talking about how much more work you put into the show, and I was laughing because last year I think I listened to you, it was like over 30,000 minutes or something like that, and then this year I've been so busy that I think I'm only at like 14,000 or something like that. So I was laughing to myself, but I do really appreciate how much work you guys put into the show. I'm still really, really loving it. I've been listening. I think Aliens was the newest episode when I started listening, and I listen to you guys several times every week ever since. So I just want to tell you guys that you're doing awesome, even though I haven't been calling in. And it was kind of cool to see Hydraberg on a guest starring episode, because he was, even when I first started listening, he was already kind of a big name among straight chillin' fans, so that was really cool. Anyways, that's it, guys. Keep chilling. Thanks. Bye.
Only 14,000 minutes. Come
Those
on.
are rookie numbers.
I just did the math, and that's still about 116 episodes if each episode's around 2 hours. So
that's solid, man. That's good work.
I mean, we only make one a week. So.
Let's not beat ourselves up about
that's
that.
more than like doubling
totally
our output each
really
week.
letting us down, man. You gotta
so
do
that's okay. And if
and
that's
also
only, if that's only half of what you typically do, then that would mean that before you were listening like pretty much every day.
As it should be. That's
you.
how it should be.
You should only just listen to our catalogs over and over
and over and over and over.
Now they'll get you through the whole year. You can start January 1st and just go the whole year.
If you could play 2 at once, that would be great.
Actually, just leave it playing on your Alexa device all day while you're at work. You know, and then
drive your dogs insane.
Oh, poor pups.
Poor little fellers.
What was I gonna say?
Thanks for listening at all, man, and for calling in at all. And I like the Heidelberg shout out. Like, he was kind of a big deal.
I know that's It's like, oh, he was a fixture, man. Yeah, and that's true. That's all true.
I mean, it's true. Yeah, the thing is, it's like when you're talking about like, you know, we have the community, so we know each other as like friends and stuff. But if you're just like listening and Heidelberg was like our first Patreon pick, I think maybe.
No, that's not true. But he was close to it.
Close toward the beginning.
That round certainly.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the patron saint of the podcast.
Been around a long time.
So. Yeah,
and that's his Christian name too.
Yeah,
he's
that's what he was born with.
As his Skinifist Prime, that is his Christian name.
Yeah,
of course, God-given name.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
like Christian names around.
I was thinking about this earlier, but I didn't get to bring it up about Silver Bullet. Like a lot of the names, like Coleslaw and all these things, like it really struck me like Rick and Morty names, where they'll just like it's just whatever the first sound that comes out of the writer's mouth when he's dictating is what the name is. There's a lot of that, it seems like, going on. Parkin Mills, let's call it, and then no second draft.
Why not?
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's a side avenue there.
And another shout out to Heidelberg. He is one of only 2 people on planet Earth that has a straight chilling tattoo.
That's
true.
It's true.
You could be the next.
Yeah. Shout out to our boy Matt for having the other one. The 3 of us
got the first straight chilling tattoo. Heidelberg got the second. But you know what? To be fair, it's been a few years, people. That was like back in 2021, 22. So I mean, it's about time for some new tattoos.
Come on.
Come on, guys.
Come on. Who's getting the next?
That's what a boy likes.
The next straight chilling tattoo. Who's really been positively affected by this?
Who listens to us?
How many
30,000 minutes a year?
Have you heard?
Time to get some ink.
That's an impression of anybody showing off their tattoo.
There you go.
Have you heard of this podcast?
Luckily, Randy does some good design work, so you're getting some quality design at least.
It doesn't look like shit.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
It's not clip art around here, so you got some good designs to choose from.
Yes. I do want to give a quick shouts out to our boy Hugh. I'm not putting up the
I was going to do the
signal.
same as well, yeah.
Yeah. So last week, Heidelberg called in and left a voicemail asking if Hugh wanted his U pick. However, last week we were talking about a brand new movie that had a limited release. So maybe Hugh didn't listen to it. Hugh, if you are listening to this one, hit us up on social media, on Patreon, whatever. Heidelberg wants to give you his U pick. And we can work that out. So just hit us up, man, if you are interested in doing that.
Yeah. And Hugh, too, if you want more details, you can just skip to the end of the episode of Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah.
We're using this podcast as a direct link to a single person.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
This podcast is primarily functioning as a way of communicating with Hugh Janus.
Here, let's clarify. Our boy Hugh Janus, he's really, really, really old. He's not quite sure how the social media works.
He might be old. He could just be like 23 and
he's probably my
some
age.
shit. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
He's likely a space vampire.
So yeah, prompts for next week. You guys have anything you want to throw out?
Oh man, we didn't get many bites on the werewolf stuff.
No, we did not.
So I don't know. I don't know, man.
Well, next week's movie we're talking about, I'm looking at it's going to be the winner of the AI poll. Okay. And it still looks like Maximum Overdrive is winning with about 3 hours left to vote. So it should be pretty safe.
Okay.
Okay.
Is that a car movie? King. I don't really know about it. Honestly.
Yeah, actually, that's true. A lot of Stephen King. And more cocaine.
A lot more cocaine.
A lot more cocaine. Jesus Christ.
How's that for a slice of fried gold?
Maybe call in with your top 3 Stephen King film adaptations or bottom 3. What are the worst? What are the best?
That'd be great.
Or books, Stephen King, just books. You want to get some recs on that?
He writes books?
I know, right?
What?
Who would have thought? He didn't just direct this one really weird movie we're going to talk about next week. Call in 904-638-3231. That's going to do it for us this week at Straight Chilling. Again, slam your eyeballs into Maximum Overdrive. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, you can find us on social media, any of them. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast and we'll pop right up. You can send us an email at straightchillingpodcast@gmail.com. Our website, straightchilling.com. If you want to join our Slack channel, hit us up on one of those social media outlets. Let us know, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. And until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Shut the fuck up.